In a star-filled sky at night, a young boy, Philip, gets out of the house and uses his telescope to examine the stars. A shooting star passes by in the sky. Excited, he calls on his big sister, Drea, who reluctantly opens her window to listen to her little brother. He thinks it's an alien, but she tiredly dismisses it as just a plane. The sushi delivery guy on a bicycle is on his way to deliver sushi when spaceships veer by overhead. Wondering what they are, he checks a nearby crash site. There, he finds a small spaceship that has crashed. However, an evil critter watches him from the dark and attacks him. He goes down screaming, with no one to help him. Afterwards, the critter also allows itself to some sushi. Sheriff Lewis drives back home from work. There is loud music coming from upstairs in Drea's room. When he enters the house, he immediately calls her to turn down the music. He wants to take a drink when Philip comes running to ask whether he saw UFOs passing by in the station. When he makes fun of him, he returns angrily to his room. Drea heads out to work. Lewis follows her and asks what's wrong. She responds that she's been rejected from joining Leroy University again. Lewis advises her to also get to know other people who may help her join the campus. Thanking him for the advice, she drives away. In another house strewn with kittens, an old lady feeds her cats before making some tea for herself, and then opens up a secret door leading to a room filled with global tracking systems. On the screens, a blinking red icon displays an alien spaceship that has landed. In the field where the dead body of the sushi delivery guy lies, his body starts spasming. When he turns, several critters are multiplying in his body, and they eventually merge. The elder critter looks on happily at this progress. Drea is working at the sushi place when she's asked by her boss to deliver a package to Leroy University. Driving up to the college, she's first stopped by Sean, the guard, who has a crush on her, and asks if she listened to his tape. Having forgotten, she listens to the tape and pretends to have liked it. She has to drive away before Sean starts playing the bagpipe. She drives up to the parking lot and is greeted by Gregory, one of the students at Leroy who's waiting for the sushi. He takes her up to the social hall, where she runs into her former friend, Maggie. Gregory is surprised to see the two are familiar with one another. He leaves and takes his sushi after noticing the awkward atmosphere between the two. Maggie offers Drea a position babysitting the history professor's kids. The job could help her gain entry into Leroy. Drea almost refuses until Maggie convinces her it may help with her application to the university. She takes the offer reluctantly. A camper out in the wild alone is attacked by the critters. On the other side, Drea returns home to find her brother sleeping in Uncle Lewis's favorite chair. Failing to convince him to sleep in his bed, she covers him with her mom's blanket. The next day, Bob, a ranger, is out scenic sighting, and a critter discreetly watches him. When a bird poops on him, he has to return to the station and take a shower. The critter attacks him in the shower and kills him. The other critters, led by the elder critter, attack the rangers in their station and finish them all. Drea finalizes watching her babysitting training videos and then hurries her brother Philip, who's flustered at the idea of going to Tracy Lacey's house. Reaching Tracy's house, Philip is still worried about how he looks. The professor, who is happy to get someone looking after her kids, rushes out to the waiting taxi. Drea, Philip, and the children, Tracy and Jake, sit around together. With nothing to do, Drea suggests they play some games. No one is receptive to the idea. Jake suggests, via text, that they go to the park, and Tracy is all up for it. Philip is all for whatever Tracy likes. They head to the park, and as they're walking by in the forest, Tracy comes along a small black and white critter. Tracy thinks it is cute, and Philip backs her up. Tracy wants to take it home, but Drea is not willing. They decide to take it to the park rangers. However, when they reach the station, the door is locked and no one responds. The critters are locked inside, feeding on the rangers. The critter Tracy is carrying sniffs the other black critters nearby and gets agitated. They decide to take it somewhere else. As they leave, one of the critters gets in the boot of the car. It then signals the other critters to follow. They return home and try to figure out where to put the queen critter. On their way to Lacey's house, the critters attack a handyman who's fixing network cables. They also bite off the network cables, causing a network outage. The phone signals go off for Jake and the others at home. Tracy gives the queen critter the name Bianca, and they apply some iodine where she's hurt. Philip decides to take a picture of Bianca and goes to the car to get his phone. He hears some bumping in the hood. He checks and finds a hole in the boot with a critter with an evil critter inside. He snaps a picture and the critters get angry. He rushes to tell the others in the house. They hear bumping noises in the house. Drea checks it out and almost screams when she bumps into Jake. A critter attacks and bites his leg. Screaming, Drea kicks it away. They rush outside, but Tracy wants to go back and get Bianca. Drea goes back inside and gets the alien and the first aid kit. When she returns and tries to start the car, it doesn't start. Looking down, she sees her fuel leaking. They decide to walk to the station to see Uncle Lewis. Meanwhile, the bounty hunter woman comes across the Queen's space pod in the park. At the station, Uncle Lewis does not believe it when told the story about aliens, and instead confiscates Philip's phone. He tells Drea that as a government official, he cannot be entertaining stories about aliens. Drea leaves disappointed. A few seconds after she leaves, he checks Philip's phone and is concerned about what he sees. The bounty hunter tracks the critters to the park ranger's station and finds the dead body of the ranger in the shower. She finds a waiting critter and destroys it. Drea and the children go to the chef of the sushi restaurant to ask for help. He's quite afraid of the queen critter he's shown. Sheriff Lewis drives up to Professor Lacey's place to check out what happened. He finds Drea's car parked but not working. He's then very surprised when he's attacked by a critter and hides in the sheriff's car. The critter goes under the car, destroying wires. He turns on the police siren and it seems to affect them until they burst. However, when the underground critter cuts off the wire, it goes off, and the critter burrows into the vehicle. Uncle Lewis drives off unknowingly with the critter at the back. The kids gather at the chef's, who hears their story and is convinced the queen critter they're holding is good. They want to borrow his van to take them to the state police headquarters. However, Tracy has another plan for them to connect to a satellite phone that is at her mother's office. They hear a car crashing outside, and when they check, it is Uncle Lewis. Critters are terrorizing everyone outside, so Drea goes out alone. A pair of critters maul a dead body and then vomit a sneaker. The chef recognizes the shoe as his nephew's. He hands over the keys of the van to Philip, and then brandishes a pair of kitchen knives to take revenge against the critters. Drea finds Uncle Lewis fatally wounded inside the car and almost dying. He tells her loud noises are the critter's weakness. He returns her mother's picture before saying it was him who should have died that night instead of her. Drea is furious at the critters. Philip calls her, signaling they have got the keys. Critters are out terrorizing the entire town. She manages to get to the van, and they drive away. The chef goes out in revenge for his nephew and slashes the responsible critters. The bounty hunter drives by, noticing the havoc, but seeing no sign of the queen critter. Drea and the children drive to the university. Sean, who has the keys to every building, is not at the gate. They hear his bagpipe playing from afar. When they check, he is already dead, and a critter is eating him. They run back to the van. Jake says the critters might be following their queen, Bianca, that they have, and Drea is surprised at the sound of his voice. Drea crashes through the gate and enters the university. They bang the doors to the hall, and Maggie, fortunately who is still awake, opens. When they tell her the story of the alien critters, she does not believe Drea, thinking she's out to ruin the ceremony. Maggie and Drea almost get into a fight. Gregory decides to help by getting Sean's keys from his booth by the gate. He takes off his shirt and runs outside, but soon returns, being chased by a ball of critters who outrun and devour him. They decide to go to the history professor's lab. They find the lab locked, but manage to open it by guessing the combination as Tracy's birthday year. However, they find a critter already inside, mauling a body. Wondering how the critters got here so fast, they conclude it is following the queen they are carrying, and Tracy is forced to leave her behind. Maggie is walking alone in the halls when she hears some banging sounds coming from a toilet. She checks and finds critters killing a fellow student. She apologizes but escapes alone. Drea and the kids run outside, but find a critter already in their van. They run to the field and reunite with Maggie, driving a golf cart. She apologizes for not believing them and asks if they've seen Gregory. Before she can explain, Philip shows Drea the evil male critter that has been following them. They jump into the car and head to the shed in the distance. They get into it and begin arming themselves with any weapon they can use against the critters. Drea takes a horn that can blow high-frequency sounds and tests it against the critters outside. Some blow up at the sound until the horn runs out of gas. On the other side, the queen critter, who is surrounded in the lab, goes into killer mode and begins killing the black critters. On the other side, Drea and the others keep fighting and destroying the critters with shovels and rakes. A critter almost takes out Drea, but she pierces its eye. When the critter survives and wants to attack again, they're taken out by the bounty hunter who has arrived. She hands Drea a gun as she goes to the lab to check if the queen critter is okay. Drea and her friends drive in the go-kart to the university stairs. They hear a rumbling sound coming from above. The bounty hunter returns and has Drea and her brother help her out. They aim their guns at the coming ball of critters. With Philip helping her aim, Drea and the bounty hunter blow away the incoming ball of critters. Philip smugly reminds Drea that he told her aliens were real. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'll be back with another interesting movie recap. Until then, take care.